let's jump into the articles. Donald Trump is now officially the worst U.S. president in history, according to scholars. This comes just from The Guardian, but we're going to dive into the actual data as well.
Worse than
Andrew Jackson?
Yeah, I was about to say worse than Trail of Tears Jackson?
Yeah, so Jackson still ranks pretty high up there. Like, he did drop a bit, but it's just, I don't know. The people who did this ranking were probably like they're scholars, so they're probably looking at it with like, well, for his time, yes, that was still atrocious, but like, yeah, so they were probably trying to do some of that, but also like Joe Biden was 14th, and they fully admit in the publication that it's like, yeah, no, the reason Joe Biden is so high is probably just like by comparison, all the recent presidents look better just compared to Donald Trump.
I mean, let's be honest. If there's any ugly duckling that you would want to be juxtaposed against, it would be Trump.
Yeah. So yeah, Donald Trump finished 45th and rock bottom of a list ranking U.S. presidents by greatness, trailing even historically calamitous chief executives who failed to stop the Civil War or botched its aftermath. Yeah, and then they say that Biden's most important achievements may just be that he rescued the presidency from Trump, resumed a more traditional style of presidential leadership, and is gearing up to also not be Trump after the next election. So like that's his main accomplishments that put him at 14th. So like take these ratings with a grain of salt with how they're like making these determinations, because like I don't know if I'd rate you as the 14th best president just by virtue of the fact that you're not Trump.
Like I'm gonna be honest. Not Trump is a really good argument when you are in the middle of the election cycle and we are.
It is.
We have either you or Trump, but like, if we're doing a point-by-point analysis of things that have been accomplished in a presidency, it's hard for me to think of things that Biden has done that were not just like reversing bad decisions that Trump did.
Yeah, but there were also a lot of things that like he tried to do, and then the Supreme Court that Trump and Moscow Mitch put in place kiboshed it, like the forgiveness of the student loans thing, which I feel like I remember hearing like some of that actually went through, but it wasn't to the extent that he wanted.
Ugh.
I don't know, but like there actually is a lot of stuff that Joe has done that is good. Like he ended up being way better than he looked like he was going to be, according to his campaign, which is why I've been saying you send the message in the primaries by voting for the most progressive candidate in the primaries, and then in the general election you just suck it up and vote for the not Republican. Because Joe Biden got the message from the progressives. He was like, oh, fuck. They were all voting for Bernie up until they couldn't anymore, so maybe I should take a page out of his book.
Yeah.
Okay. No spoilers, Monorail. Stop it. Yeah, so they looked at the responses from 154 scholars that are mostly connected to the American Political Science Association. They did these rankings in 2015 and 2018, so this is Trump's second time on it. And basically, they asked these scholars to give each president a rating from 0 to 100, with 0 being a failure, like complete failure, 50 being average, and 100 being great. And then let's see, that's the analysis that I'm going to get into in a bit. They say, Trump is a uniquely divisive figure. His legislative record is slim. His refusal to accept defeat by Biden leading to a deadly attack on Congress, and his post-presidential career dogged by 91 criminal charges arising from actions in office or on the campaign trail all kind of hurt his score, you think?
Just a little bit.
Yeah, just a bit. So, yes, these presidents had great accomplishments such as expanding healthcare. Oh, yeah. They were talking about how, like, it's not just Biden that looks better by comparison to Trump. So, like, Obama got a boost because of the comparison to Trump. So did Bill Clinton and Jimmy Carter. Whereas all the recent Republicans, like Bush and other Bush.
No, and other Bush?
I think other Bush had a rise. Yeah, but, like, Bush saw a fall in popularity. Because, like, just by virtue of the fact that he's associated with the word Republican, which at this point is a dirty word, and pretty much rightfully so.
He also has like a lot of his bangling where 9/11 was concerned.
Oh yeah, here they go.
He's never going to outlive that.
So every modern Republican president has dropped in the rankings, including the transformational Ronald Reagan, who they all fucking worship for some reason, and George H.W. But yeah, they did both fall. And so what they say is what these results suggest is it's not just an added emphasis on a president's political affiliation, but also the emergence of a president's fealty to political and institutional norms as a criterion for what makes a president great. I don't love the wording there, but I understand what they're getting at. It basically, like, are they going to fuck shit up for the sake of fucking shit up and no other reason? Or are they going to actually, like, try to work within the system and do things properly? And so I actually have the whole list up here.
Okay.
Give me a second. So you've got Lincoln in the number 1 spot because everybody loves Lincoln.
Civil War.
So Biden's 14th with a ranking of 62.66, so slightly above average, I guess. But if you go down to the bottom, very bottom, Donald Trump, he got a score of 10.9, which is 6 points below Buchanan, who, I forget exactly what, was Buchanan the guy, was Buchanan before or after the Civil War?
Let's see here. James Buchanan.
Yeah, Buchanan was leading up to it, wasn't he? So, like,
he's the 15th president.
So I think
he was from 1857 to 1861. 1857 from 1861 versus...
Yeah, so if I recall correctly, Buchanan and Pierce were the pre-Civil War presidents who basically were all like, we can't free the slaves. That would be a horrible thing to do. That would be really bad for unity, or for national unity. So no, we ain't going to do that. And them believing that and enacting policies like that essentially directly led to the Civil War. So the two presidents who caused the Civil War, not as bad as Trump apparently. Johnson was the guy who took over after Lincoln, I believe. Was he the first president to ever be impeached?
I do not know, actually.
But like he... okay, well, Johnson, I think it was Johnson was the one who took over after Lincoln. He botched a lot of the Reconstruction stuff, and like he was appeasing to the southern states because he wanted to hurry up and get them reintegrated into the states and like just forget the whole Civil War thing happened. So he instituted a lot of policies that basically extended slavery, if not in actual name, then like in practice, because it was like, oh, well, the farmers that used to own these African Americans as slaves can now contract them to be tied to their farm and pay them minuscule wages that basically amount to slavery, so it'll keep them stuck on the farm with nowhere else to go and no resources. And yeah, so that was him. Harrison, I think he was the guy that died within a month, right?
I do not remember. So like my recollection when it comes to most US presidents, anything, is very, very slim now.
Oh, you're gonna make me do some research. William Henry Harrison.
Making Rhino do research live on stream.
31 days after taking office. Well, I did look all these guys up beforehand. It's not like I have this knowledge at the top of my head. But I'm not good with names, so I might be getting them mixed up. But yeah, so Harrison was the guy who, like, he died. Like, he didn't do anything while he was in office. He spent the majority of his term dealing with a bunch of people knocking on the White House door being like, hey, can I have a job in your administration? Because he, like most candidates, would set that up in advance of the election so that when they are elected, they just take office or whatever. He failed to do that because he wanted to focus on the party aspect. He was like, oh, let's just have some fun with it or whatever. And so then he spent most of his administration just like people knocking on his door being like, hey, I'm qualified, give me a job. And then he died.
That's kind of sad, actually.
Yeah. And he got 16 points more than Donald Trump. So like,
for all 31 days, he was...
More than double the, Trump's score. So yeah, if basically the best thing that Trump could have done for his presidential score would be to have died in office early.
You know, if he had died in office early, he wouldn't have smoke bombed a whole bunch of United States citizens for a photo shoot.
Mm-hmm. That is true. He wouldn't have started an insurrection. Wouldn't be facing a bunch of fraud charges. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, not that being charged with fraud says anything necessarily about your administration, but it does say a lot about the kind of person you are and how you would probably run your administration.
Fraudulently?
Yeah.
Just a little bit. Yeah. Falcon fan says fake news. It's not fake news that he had the church smoke bombed. We have photo evidence of that.
Yeah, it's him holding the Bible backwards.
The
fake news was that he held it upside down. It wasn't upside down, it was backwards.
Fake news. Again, I've asked before on stream, Falcon, if you're gonna simp for Trump, I just want to know what you like about the guy, and I haven't gotten an answer in like 2 months on that from you.
Yeah, like what?
I do appreciate you being.
What does
here.
anyone like about the guy? Is it I think at this point it's just he makes the libs mad. We want to make the libs mad. That is the whole platform of the Republican Party at this point. It's like, what can we do that'll trigger the libs?
Make the libs seem evil, and then making the libs angry is all you need to do to run it. Which is, it's stupid that that's even a thing to consider, because making certain people angry has never been a metric that you're doing anything right or wrong. Because what's that old saying that, like, if those are the people you're making angry, you know you're doing something right? And I'm like, no, that's not how we do any. That's not how we figure that out. We don't figure anything out by who we're making angry.
No, we really don't. All right. Well, we don't really need to go into much detail on that. I just thought it was funny that it's now a matter of like data provided by scholars that Trump is the worst president in history. I would still dispute that and say Andrew Jackson probably was worse. If Trump gets a second term and does everything that the right wing wants to do to trans people, then he can definitely make a run for his money against Andrew Jackson, but let's hope that never happens. And on that depressing note...
Hey, I just quickly want to give a thank you to all of my wonderful patrons who keep this show running. YouTube and Twitch are a pretty bumpy ride at the best of times, and the stability a Patreon provides me is worth more than I can say here. I'd also like to thank each and every one of my $20 and up patrons here, and they would be Red Joker, Britzkrieg, Cameron, Dren, Jemshin, Smiling DM, Poundini, Mabbity Babbity, Naomi, Isaac, Nixie Chan, the Oberon team, Agamotto, Jordan, Ravi, Giuni, Kiratorian, Prisma, all of you, I'm not saying that part, and Starlight. And finally, thank you to everyone else that helps keep this channel alive. While you're here, why not check out another video? And thank you for watching.